Hello and welcome to the B Attempt. It is Circ07. The date is still 11/3/2021, and I am still Christian Williams. The B Attempt is fairly similar to the C Attempt in terms of the wiring and everything. As you remember me explaining in the C Attempt, there were two buttons plugged in that board and we were only using one. So what the B Attempt does is it reprograms it to include the second button and allows us to toggle the LED. The C Attempt doesn't really need the Arduino in order to do what it does, because all it's doing is connecting a circuit, which could just be done in the real world with just wiring without any sort of computer chip installed. What the B Attempt does is it does something slightly more complicated that the Arduino board can be used for, um, without having to, uh, give up on doing things in the physical world with actual wiring. So for the B Attempt here, you'll notice we're still doing the constant integers, but we've added a second integer, button pin 2, and we've changed the first input to button pin 1, just to kind of help differentiate it. As a reminder, constant integer means that this number will not change. Nothing that the program can do can change this, which makes sense because this is analogous to what's happening in real life with an actual pin, and the program can't change that. And then we still have our LED set to pin 13. Next, what we have to do is we also have to include button pin 2 to be an input, otherwise, and change the value of that pin mode for button pin 1. If you scroll down a little bit, the loop itself is fairly compact, as you can see, which is why I have it zoomed in. What our loop does is it utilizes a decision statement, the if else or the if else if combination, to make a decision with what to do with the LED. So that's what it is deciding. I misspelled decide. Well, all right. The LED will then switch or keep its state as described. So button pin 1 refers to the top button on our board, which we'll get to in a second. If that button is hit, which in this case, if our Arduino reads a low state, then it will set the LED to high. It will turn the LED on. Otherwise, if the bottom button, or button pin 2, is read as a low state, then the LED will be turned off and stay off. If it's already on, the program won't do anything. If it's already off, it won't do anything. So that's why we are getting a decision statement to decide if it'll switch or keep its state as described. So what that looks like in the real world is this guy down here. As you can see, the wiring is exactly the same. We did not change anything. All we did is change the program so we can now use this second button that was installed here. You can see my pins are still 2, 3, and 13, so nothing really I need to point out here, but I will demonstrate. This is the top button, so this is button pin 1. If we hit it, you notice the LED is on and it is staying on. In my Circ07 A attempt, I had one where you could hit buttons, but it would just kind of switch with the button. This toggles the state of the LED, so it does something a little different. And if you notice, if I keep hitting that top button, nothing is happening. As soon as I hit this button, however, because this LED is on, it'll shut it off. And if I keep doing that, you can see nothing is happening. So on, off, on, off, on, off. Basically what we've done is we've turned two buttons into an actual toggle switch. And that's where that's where the Arduino comes in, is because we're wiring that to a decision statement that the Arduino has to execute. So that was fairly simple. So I will figure out a way how to do my Circ07 A attempt to use toggleable programs. And I will see you in that attempt.